as we've gone through this series, we've learned that because of our sin, you and I find ourselves apart from God, apart from a relationship with God. In our last video, we saw that there's nothing that we can do in and of ourselves by our own good deeds or our own good works in order to repair that situation. There's nothing that we can do to bring ourselves into a right relationship with God. So we ask ourselves the question, what is the answer? What has the ability to take me from being separated from God to having a relationship with God? The answer is found in Romans chapter 1 and verse 16, where Paul writes, "I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation unto everyone that believeth." It is the gospel that is the power of God, so powerful, and that word for power is where we get our word for dynamite. It's so powerful, it can take us from a place of being separated from God and move us over, bring us into a right relationship with God. The gospel is the answer. Of course, then that leads us to the next question. What exactly is the gospel? Well, in 1 Corinthians 15, Paul defines the gospel for us, where he says in verse number 3 that the gospel is that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried and that he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures. We find that the gospel is the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, with two very important truths, that those three things are for our sins and according to the Scriptures. The gospel is that Christ died for our sins, that he was our substitute. And all of these things were according to what God had already revealed in the Old Testament Scriptures. We don't have to look anywhere else. The gospel is the answer. Because of what Jesus Christ did for us on the cross, and 3 days later rising from the dead, because of that truth, we can be made right with God. There is no other way. The gospel is the only way that we can be forgiven of our sins and brought into a right relationship with God.